Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Drew. This is Just a Guy Linux. It has been several weeks since I put out a video. And if you have judged by my voice, the reason for that is that I have not been feeling well. And I have attempted to do some videos, but it just didn't sound very good. Still, it's not going to sound very good. I apologize for my voice not being very good, but at the same time, I don't know that it ever is. So let's move on. I've got some decent ideas about some new content that's coming fairly soon, but I did want to mention one thing today, and that is I watched this video that Matt put out yesterday, day before yesterday, something like that. It says a day ago. And he mentioned something about xmonad, but towards the end of the video, he mentioned that he could not recommend xmonad for anyone who is transitioning to a window manager. And I agree. I mean, I've tried xmonad. I don't get it. I really don't. So I thought maybe he was going to mention something as far as a recommendation. Regardless of what he would have said, I think he would have said i3 if I had to guess. But my personal opinion about a person who is trying to transition would be BSPWM. And coincidentally, I did a video of BSPWM, or a series of videos, about a year ago. And I think it's kind of time for an update because I have changed certain things. It is my daily driver at this point. I am a big BSPWM fan. I know that I have tried other window managers. I love DWM. I love Qtile, but I am sticking with BSPWM. And I was doing DK Window Manager for a while, but let's talk about BSPWM for a few minutes. So let's talk about full disclosure. I am on my production machine. It is a 3440 by 1440 monitor. So it's going to look a little different on YouTube because normally I have a separate machine that's 1920 by 1080 that I do most of my recording on. But I felt like, why don't I just use what I currently use every day to demonstrate some of the stuff that I think, some of the offerings that BSPWM, especially for new users. Now, there are ways definitely to help yourself transition to a full-blown window manager. My personal opinion is, especially if you're going to stick within Debian, is to use XFCE and then modify the key bindings to replicate a lot of what you will see in something like i3 or BSPWM or Qtile. Now, that's just my personal opinion. That was definitely how I kind of built some muscle memory and started to get away from using the mouse. Okay, I'm going to demonstrate a few of the more simple things. Now, granted, I am not using the default layout or the Fibonacci type of layout. I am using a rules to determine where my new window will open. So as you can guess, if I hit super enter, it's going to open up a terminal. And in this case, it's Tilix, okay? Now, I am not a Vim user, so I use arrow keys also. So when I hit super and then left, it actually just changes, super right. It changes which one is the active window on the screen, okay? Now, if I just hold super down and then hit shift and then left and right arrow keys, it's going to shift the active window from one side of the screen to the other, okay? If I hold super and hit control rather, and I'm not using shift anymore, I'm just saying super control, and then I'm using the left arrow key, I'm going to resize that active window. I'm going to switch sides and I'm going to hold control and I'm going to change the size of the left part of the window, which is active as well. Now here's something that's kind of cool. I don't know that everybody is aware of this, but if I'm going to use my mouse for a second, okay, and I'm going to right click in the title bar, and I'm going to hold my super key down, okay? So it's right click, hold, and super hold, and I'm going to change the size of the window smoothly. Now, granted, it may not look that smooth. I think it's because I'm recording at the same time. But at the same time, when I do this and I'm not recording, it looks really smooth. But it's not terrible, but it does refresh kind of crappy. But you get the idea. I'm able to move the size, the window easily, or resize the window easily. Let's talk more about why this is, or provide you with a more compelling reason why this is simple and easier to use for newer users. I'm going to go over to my text workspace, which is workspace 4, and I have two things open, and this is, by the way, this is Light Excel text editor. It's very good. I am not 100% sold on it yet, but I like it, especially for demonstration, for this demonstration. Now, the BSPWMrc and the sxhkdrc are the two configuration files, again, separate from each other. BSPWM cannot operate without a separate hotkey daemon. So if you want something that is all-inclusive, BSPWM is not the solution for you. I like it that way. I like having it in two separate files. Okay. So with this, you're going to see this is very important, this part here. Obviously, this is a bash script. And so you don't really have to know a whole lot in terms of Python or anything. You don't need to know Python. You don't need to know Rust. You don't need to know Haskell in particular. All that is necessary is a simple bash script. This is important. And then also, I've kind of broken this down. I probably should have put this at the top to give you a better idea as to what's important. So this is important too. These are your startup application. Dunst obviously is for notifications. PyCom and Fay for your background. As far as Polybar is concerned, using a script to launch Polybar. Now, do you need Polybar? Absolutely not. You don't need, if you want a bar, then it's there for you. Polybar is really easy to configure, very simple. But at the same time, I've seen certain people operate without a bar at all, and they operate just fine. Now, I have included a few things in scripts that will allow you to do that so that you don't have to have a bar. But let's just go with having a bar for now. And then this starts the XX hotkey daemon. Okay, that's what sxhkd stands for. And I'm commenting out a few things too. But let's talk about the rules. Okay. So the very first rule that I have is this split direction equals east. What does that mean? Well, it means that wherever the active window is, it's going to spawn the new window to the east or to the right. Now, why would I do that? I like having vertical columns instead of opening windows underneath an active window. I don't know if that makes sense, but what I'm going to do is, let me go ahead actually and demonstrate that. So I'm going to take that rule and then let's save it. And let's restart BSPWM. I'm going to use Super Shift R for that. Okay. And so now when I hit Super Enter just to open new windows, it opens up in a binary tree pattern. So it goes basically the leaves of a binary tree. It gets smaller and smaller underneath. So even if I keep going, you'll see that it continues to open things up smaller and smaller underneath the active window. Now I'm going to go ahead and close these. Now, and like I said before, if I take this rule out and save it and then restart BSPWM again, it's going to open up to the east or to the right. So now you can see that it's actually opening up vertical columns rather than trees, or using that default binary tree layout. Now, why would I do that? It's because, like I said, it's because of the monitor that I have. Now, what I just did, by the way, is resize everything so that it has an equal dimension on my screen. I usually don't ever have 5 windows open at the same time. In fact, 3 is probably the absolute most. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and close these and then resize again, and now everything's back to where it was. Now, as far as resizing, we'll get to that in a minute. Okay? Now, if you look a little bit further down my rules, you'll see that, for example, I want certain applications to open in a specific desktop. So, for example, GIMP is to open up on desktop 8, which is this GFX, which is signified by GFX on the polybar. So if I hit Super G for GIMP, it changes to workspace 8, and then I'm already ready to work. Now, why? Let me go back. Sorry. It follows on. So if you don't want that, you don't have to have it. It will open up, and then you can go to it manually. I always like to have it as follow on, because if I'm going to open up the application, why not follow it over to its own dedicated workspace? I'm going to work top down on this configuration file. Super B, probably the one I use the most, which is open up Firefox. Super return for this tilix. Super space for Rofi. Super shift return. Again, I use that for my floating terminal that is sticky and goes from one workspace to another. Trying to think of something. Oh, okay. So here's something that's really cool. I saw Jake at Linux actually do a video on WMCTRL. I had known about this, but I was really happy because that's not something I have never done a video on. But what it does is it kind of keeps one application open. So let's just say I used Thunar, which is my my file manager that I use. If I hit Super F a bunch of times, like if I hit Super Enter, I'm opening up terminal multiple times. Now, I don't necessarily want that for Thunar, nor do I want that for Genie. So what it does with this WMCTRL is it goes to the instance of Thunar, which is already open. So if I hit Super F, I'm going to tell you ahead of time. So I have DIR, which is my third workspace, and that generally has my Thunar on it. So if I hit Super F, it's going to switch workspaces and go to Thunar. Okay, automatically it just switches to workspace and goes to the already open application. So I'm going to hit Super 4 to go back to my text workspace. Same thing with Genie. If I have Genie open, it's going generally to my text workspace. So if I hit Super E, okay, it's going to open it up. All right. Now if I go to a different workspace, let's say GFX, and I hit Super E again, it's going to keep one instance of Genie open and then switch to that workspace. Hope that made sense. It's really cool though. So WMCTRL is something that you would just use like sudo apt install wmctrl. And it's already there, but I mean, obviously, but that would be what I would use to install. I've actually added it to my install scripts because that's something I use quite a bit now. As far as, oh, there it is, Super Shift C. I couldn't remember what my calculator, key binding was. Sorry, I lost my train of thought because I was looking here at Super Escape. Now, with Super Escape, I'm just going to go ahead and hit that. Super Escape, you'll see up here, sxhkd reloaded config, and I put in this notify send in the command. So basically, this semicolon breaks up the command that you want. So this is restarting sxhkd, and it is sending notify send to our notification application, which is Dunst. Okay. So also, as you can see, I have Super Shift R, basically the same thing. I hit Super Shift R, and you'll see that BSPWM has restarted. And it also, I don't know if you saw it, but it was really quick. Since it restarted, Polybar also restarted because it's part of the this startup procedure. Okay. Now, let me go back. Now, here's something that I think is interesting. A lot of this stuff is kind of boring, but I include this script, which is which workspace, when I shift from one workspace to another. Okay, so what does that script do? So if let's just say, go to workspace 5. So I'm going to go super 5. You'll see that it says workspace 5, and then that pipe with vid. So it actually gives me a feedback as to which workspace tag it's being used. So if I go back to super 4, same thing. It says workspace 4 and then pipe text. Now, why would I do that? Okay, so I'm going to actually, let me just go ahead and say micro bin which workspace. Okay, so what it's doing is basically it is using that notify send command to show where what the active workspace is. Now, remember I said that you don't necessarily have to have Polybar. This would be a reason why you would want that. You would need maybe the feedback, at least I would need feedback when I change from one workspace to another, just to remind me, okay, where am I? I mean, I don't have to, with having Polybar up there, I don't necessarily need that. But it is nice to have. So I have kept this. Now there is a simpler script that I have. Let me just go, Control Q, and let's say cd into bin, and it's called which WS. So let me just show you that real quick. That again, like I said, if I can easily switch to this one. So I'm going to say micro which WS, and that's really all that you need. So let me just show you real quick. So it's just which workspace, and then Control S to save, and Super Shift Escape. Oh no, Super Escape. That's all I need, right? And so now, if I go to workspace 5, all it does is say workspace vid. I like having the number also. So if I want to, it just says workspace and then the actual desktop name. So I like having the number as well. So I'm going to switch it back to which workspace and hit Control S and Super Escape. And now when I go to workspace 7, let's say, it shows that number. All right. Now, so continuing down, I have a minor script that demonstrates volume up and down. So if I hit Super Shift J or K, it basically shows in the Dunst feedback what the current volume is. I use Scrot because I think it's light. A lot of people, excuse me, a lot of people will use Flameshot. Flameshot is an excellent application. Scrot is very light and pretty much does everything I need because I'm not really editing anything. So if I hit the print screen, you'll see that the image was saved to my screenshots directory. And if I hit super print screen, it gives me this crosshair. So if I just go like this, it just will save that rectangle to that screenshots directory, and it showed the feedback. So if, like, I should have 2. So if I hit this is the rectangle that I had, or if I did this is the full screen. Okay. The last thing I'm going to mention is this super equal keybind that is in the sxhkdrc file. And what it does is, and I've demonstrated this earlier, it redistributes the windows into equal sizes. So if I have a couple, so I have 4 workspaces open, if I hit super equal, it then redistributes everything into basically 25% for each individual window. Now again, if I close this and then hit super equal again, it's going to go back to that 50-50. Now, I understand that this is a little bit on the manual tiling window rather than it just being dynamic. But to answer, I don't have a problem with it simply because I am generally going to keep like only 2 windows open per workspace. And the fact of the matter is, you don't necessarily need this. If you're just going to keep, if you're only going to keep 2 windows open per workspace, then you don't need this at all. I just happen to throw that in there because I think it's a nice feature to have. Now, just to kind of reiterate, the fact is, I think that if I was to recommend a beginner's or a transitional window manager, BSPWM is my choice. Now, I know that I'm probably not going to get 100% of the comments to agree with me. Again, this is just my opinion, and I like it. So, I like BSPWM, so that's why I have chosen it and trying to demonstrate it. Regardless, I hope that you all have I hope that this has helped somebody. If you choose, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.